For those people who have joined us via Zoom, welcome. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to add them to type them in our chat box, and I'll be happy to read them and reply to those questions. And for those people who are joining us in our Facebook Live page, thank you for joining us. Please like us and share this live stream to your friends and families. And if you have any questions as well, please do not hesitate to type them on the comment section, and I'll go ahead and take a look at that one from time to time and reply and answer those questions. Again, welcome everyone. Good morning and good evening to people who have joined us in the Western Canada. If you guys are in somewhere in the Philippines or Asia, good morning. Okay, so again, my name is Israel Roman. I am your Canadian immigration consultant. And again, welcome everyone. So, just to make sure that everyone is aware on how to check if you're dealing with someone that is licensed, a licensed immigration consultant like myself. So just an FYI, if someone is helping you with regards to your Canadian visa application, whether it's a work permit, student permit, or tourist visa, if they are not your relative, they need to be licensed with the immigration consultant of Canada Regulatory Council or the ICCRC. They are not allowed to give advice, even though they are free advice. They're not legally allowed to do it. So, how to check? Let's go to the ICCRC website, and here you will see sections right here where it says you have the first one, public register, and then you have complaints and discipline. So if you have any concerns with regards to the consultant you are dealing with, you can go ahead and file a complaint right here, and they will do some actions on it. But if the person that you are complaining about is not licensed and not registered with ICCRC, then this governing body won't be able to do anything to help you out. So click on the learn more, and then on the where it says RCIC info, type in the name. And for this case, it would be my name. So last name is Israel. Last name is Roman, first name is Israel. And just type in search or click search. And then you'll see it in here. It says Roman Israel. The status is active, and the consultant identification number is R524540. And when you hit contact, it would show you where I am based from, which is Nanaimo, BC, Canada, and I am associated with this company, Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited. So that's one way of making sure that you are working with a licensed immigration consultant. Now, it did say there that I am associated with Roman and Associates. So you also want to make sure that the company that they are saying that they are associated with is really a existing company. So for this one, since the company is in Canada, you can go ahead and go to Canada Business Registry to search for your if for your own in your own home country. I'm pretty sure there is a way on how to search if the company is existing as well. So for Canada, you go to Canada's Business Registry, and type in the company name. So for this one, it'll be Roman and Associates. Let's click enter, and there you go. So it would show in here Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited, and status is active, and it's a BC company. There you go. And another thing that would be a good tool for you to use would be the internet itself, or the Google, let's say Google or Yahoo. You can go ahead and search the person, right? So, and then once you've searched the person, your objective is really, or your goal really, is to see if there's any red flag on this person, right? Because if there is any red flag, it might probably show in here if there are, or any information about that person. So when you type in Israel, Roman, and IMO, it comes in the first page. So that would be on the right-hand side. You will see Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited, and that is because Israel Roman is associated with this company. And this is from Google. So you have 5 stars from Google. So that's good. And this is the address, which is, so our Canadian address office would be here in Nanaimo, BC. And it would say in here right now, we're close. And the reason being is because it is already 8 p.m. here in where I am right now, which is Nanaimo, BC. So I did mention that we have our main offices here in Nanaimo, BC. We also have our Philippine office, which is in Lipa City, Batangas. Now, on the left-hand side, let's go take a look if there's anything that stands out, any red flag for Israel Roman, okay? So right here, it says NanaiMoBulletin.com, Nanaimo Hospital Auxiliary Donation, tops 300,000, and it would show in there the name Israel Roman, NRGH, Intensive Care, Telemetry, Medicine, Floor, Heart Health Manager. So that would tell you that Israel is really in Nanaimo. Let's click some pictures and see who that Israel Roman is really. So, and let's turn on the camera as well, just to compare. All right, so here you go. So that's me, that's myself giving a thank you speech to the auxiliary volunteers. And if you take a look at right there, if you can see, that would be, it says City of Nanaimo. And you'll see it in there. They're pretty similar because that's me. They look alike. Another picture. So this is again myself holding a big check, and this is from BC local news. Nanaimo Hospital gets 340, and BC local news. Let's click on one more. All right. So this one right here is from Brenda, which is the author at the Nanaimo Hospital Foundation. So that is myself giving a tour to one of our visitors in the hospital. So now you have 3 ways of trying to determine if the person that you're working with really is someone that you can work for or work with, right? That it's that you can trust for the services that you are trying to get. All right. So pathway to Canada. I'm pretty sure you guys have searched a lot of things with when it comes to how to go to Canada. How can we end up in Canada? How can we immigrate to Canada? And there's a lot of ways, but of course, there might be only one or two that would be applicable for your situation, right? So I'm pretty sure you have encountered in your research the program Express Entry. Okay. So this is one way on how to immigrate to Canada. And they're under the Express Entry, there are categories. So you have the federal skilled worker, and then you have the federal trades worker program, and then you have the Canadian experience class. Okay, so in each of this category, there are requirements in terms of minimum requirements that an applicant needs to get in order to qualify for each of the program. And we'll go ahead and talk about the program on a high level overview. We won't go into in depth, but this is not the it will just to give you some information. Okay, so what is the procedure for the express entry? Okay, so step one really is to create your profile, and when you create your profile, you'll be submitting your, of course, your name, your education, language, ability, education, work experience. Do you have any relative here in Canada or spouse? Once you have entered those and you met the minimum requirement, at least the minimum requirement, you will then go into the express entry pool. Once you are in the express entry pool, aside from the minimum requirement, you will, I mean, your minimum, your credentials, your education, your age would translate to a score. And that is known as your comprehensive ranking score. So everyone that is in this pool, express entry pool, they have met the minimum requirement and they have their own comprehensive ranking score based on their situation. And next step would be every month, immigration invites candidates from the express pool. So the immigration would say, for this round, we are inviting the top 1,000 in the pool. So now, how do we get the top 1,000? That is where the comprehensive ranking score takes in action. Wherein that would determine who are the top 1,000. It is a comprehensive ranking score. So remember, everyone here met the minimum requirement, but not everyone would have the same score. So only the top 1,000 at that time will be receiving the invitation to apply for permanent residency. It might be confusing right now, but I'm pretty sure you'll get it as we go along. So this is the another visual for you guys, so that to give you an idea. Before, express entry or skilled worker program was a kind of like a first come first serve basis, right? So that's why it takes them 5 to 6 years before they get their immigration status. Now it's no longer first come first serve. It is more of, have you met the minimum requirement, and are you in the top class in that pool? Okay, so highest qualified candidate. So let's say these people right here, they did apply 5 years ago. This people right here applied like 4 years ago. And then this people right here applied 3 years ago. This one probably applied just maybe a month ago. And these are the score that they have. Let's say this second person who applied 5 years ago has 500 points, while this person right here at the back who has only applied a month ago has a score of 690 points. So what happened? So now let's say immigration did say, okay, for this round, we are inviting the top 1,000 candidate. And that the person in that 1,000 mark has a score of 500 points. So what it means then, everyone that scored 500 and above will now receive an invitation to apply for permanent residency. So this person right here has 500 points. She applied again maybe 5 years ago, so she goes in. she gets the invitation. This person right here gets the invitation because it's more than 500. This person right here is 690, who applied maybe just a month ago, is also getting the invitation because he has a score of more than 500 points. So definitely he is above that 1,000. It's above, his rank is above 1,000. So hopefully you get the gist of it. All right. So these are the factors when computing for the comprehensive ranking score. So you have the age, level of education, Canadian work experience, and again, education, foreign work experience, and do you have relatives in Canada or do you have a spouse? Okay. So what are the minimum requirements? So let's start to talk about the Federal Trades Worker Program. And again, this is only the minimum, and you don't want to be the minimum in the just meet the minimum because again, it's you want to be in the highest. You need to have the you want to have the highest score when you get into that pool of candidates. So minimum requirements for trades: work experience would be at least 2 years of full-time work experience in the last 5 years. So that means the 2 years of full-time, that means at least 30 hours per week. And it has to be the work, it has to be either under industrial, electrical, maintenance, equipment, supervisors in the technical jobs, manufacturing, chefs, cooks, butchers, and bakers, and so on. So it's in the trades program, okay, or trades work. And when it comes to the language ability, for speaking and listening, you need to have CLB 5, which is not that high. And for reading and writing, you only need CLB 4, which is doable for sure. And education, there's no education requirement. But again, yes, there's no education requirement. You meet the minimum, but then when it comes to your comprehensive ranking score, you won't have any points for your education. And the kicker on this one is you need to have an offer of full-time employment for a total period of at least 1 year. Okay, so that would be full-time employment or offer from a Canadian employer, which right now it would be very hard to get an employer to hire a foreign worker because of our unemployment rate. So chances are you might not get an offer, a full-time offer from a Canadian employer. So we can say that most likely the Federal Trades Worker Program won't fit your situation. So this is not a program for you. Okay, let's move on and see what Federal Skilled Worker Program minimum requirement is. For this one, the minimum requirement work experience is only a year. Okay, and of course, again, when we say work experience in terms of immigration, their full-time work means 30 hours per week. So you only need a year full-time work. It has to be in the same job in the last 10 years. And it has to be under the National Occupation Code type 0A or B. Now, the tricky part on this one, it says in the same job. I'll give you an example to try to make it a bit clearer. So 4 years ago, 2 years ago, you were a supervisor for at least 4 years. And then 2 years ago, you were promoted to be a manager. So now you are a manager for 2 years. And before that, you were a supervisor for 4 years. What will happen then when it comes to your score? Your supervisory role of 4 years would have a greater score than you being a manager for 2 years. And And it would have been better if you were not promoted 2 years ago and just stayed as a supervisor now, because now you'll have 6 years of supervisory work. So now it's the same job in the last 10 years. So now you have, when we get your score for your work experience, 6 years being a supervisor would be great, would have a greater score than 4 years of supervisory or 2 years of being a manager. So that's where it becomes a bit tricky. Next requirement is your language ability for your, so for this one, it will be CLB 7. Okay. So that means if you're taking IELTS, that would be 6.0 in 4 areas, which is the speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And education would be either a Canadian, so it has to be a Canadian secondary high school. It would be, so your credential, your foreign education will be evaluated to make sure that what is it in terms of Canadian education, right? So is your education considered on high school level for Canadian education system, or your 4 year degree course is considered only as a 2 year degree, right? So now for the federal skilled worker, you need to get 67 points out of 100 in the 6 selection factors, which are your language ability, education, work experience, age, job offer, and adaptability. So don't get confused. I mean, like that. Don't get mixed up when it comes to the skilled workers score requirements and the comprehensive ranking score. These are two different scoring systems. So the 67 points out of 100 is only for the skilled worker program, just to determine if you meet the minimum requirement. And then, based on whatever your situation is, you'll have a corresponding comprehensive ranking score as well. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Okay. So let's say your language ability, IELTS, you scored CLB 8. So that would give you for your federal skilled worker program scoring, that would give you 20 points. For your education, you have a master's degree, that would give you 23 points. So if you don't have a master's degree, only a 4 year degree, then that would be, your score would be lower. Work experience, you have 6 years or more. So that is 15 points. Again, it has to be in the same job. So if for my example earlier, wherein you have 4 years of supervisory and then now you're a manager, but only for 2 years, then the 4 years of supervisory would be the one counted towards this one. But of course, because it's only 4 years, it would be lesser than 15 points. Your age, 18 to 35, this is the working age. So this is a perfect score of 12. If you are older than 35, your score will be lower. Valid job offer, let's say there's none. Okay. And then adaptability, you have a spouse or you have relatives in Canada, that would give you a perfect score of 5. So with this one, this person right here will have a score for the federal skilled worker program, 77 points. And you only need 67. So this person right here met the minimum requirement. So that's good. But then how is this person now in the express entry pool? Where would he stand in that express entry pool? What would his score be? So again, for the comprehensive ranking score, this is the scoring system that we are following. So we'll use the same person, the same situation. So with the age, education, and language, with his 77 points, his corresponding comprehensive ranking score is 405. So how is this one? Is this a good score, a low score, a high score? Where is this 405 sits in? So historically, the lowest comprehensive ranking score that has been invited had a score of 415. That is the lowest score ever, right? So, meaning to say, even though this person has master's degree, 6 years of job experience, CLB 8, he is still missing some points in order to get a chance of getting invited to be a permanent resident. So with that one, it is possible, but it is hard, right? And maybe if you're able to get CLB 9, then you'll get a higher score, right? Or you might say, okay, I have a degree, I'll take a master's degree so that I'll have more points. Yes, that's correct. But then, mind you, though, your age is also, you're adding age on yourself. And if you, by the time you finish your master's degree and you are now 36 years old or older, then you'll have lesser score for that one. You might have more score for your education, but then now you have lower score for your age, so it might not really help you. Okay. So next one is the Canadian Experience class. Okay. Would this one be suitable for you? Let's see. Minimum requirement, work experience would be 1 year of paid Canadian experience. So again, when we say work experience, it would be full time, and full time means 30 hours per week, and within the last 3 years, and under the skill type 0A or B. Now, how can this be applicable for me? I don't have a Canadian experience when it comes to employment. I'm outside of Canada and I want to come to Canada, but I don't have paid Canadian experience. How could this be possible? How can this be for me? Okay, great question. Just hold on to that question and we'll get to that one. So, minimum requirement when it comes to your language ability would be if the employment is under NOC O or A, you need to have CLB 7. If your paid experience is under NOC B, then you need to have CLB 5 for your English ability. Okay. Education, no requirement. And again, this is only minimum. That means when translate this onto your comprehensive ranking score, then you won't have any score when it comes to the education. Okay, so these are the three categories, and trades is a big fat no. Your skilled could be a possible pathway, but very hard. Now, Canadian experience class, even though it looks like it is not possible, I'm telling you, this would be your ticket to immigrating to Canada. So you will end up using the Canadian experience class. How? Okay. So it would be in our program, Study, Work, and Immigrate to Canada program. Okay, so how does this one work? How can I immigrate to Canada? What does study, work, and immigrate to Canada mean? So basically, okay, so it's a study permit. You come here to study, and you can study in any of the public schools here in Canada. And I did say public school because only graduate in public school will have a work permit later on, and I'll tell you more later on, but it has to be in the public school. So, and we are able to partner with different universities, and these are some of the universities we are in partner with, and there's many more, and it won't fit in this slide. So this is just a few. But if you know a school that you want to attend or a province where you want to live and study, just let us know. And pretty sure we will have a partner university for you for that province. So, how does it work? So, apply for a study permit, and it has to be the course has to be at least 12 months or 1 year. Okay. And after completing the course, after completing that at least 1 year course, you will now apply for the postgraduate work permit. And only graduates in the public school would be qualified to apply for a postgraduate work permit. Anyone that graduates in a private school, they won't qualify for this one. Okay. Now you might hear, yeah, but then I have a friend who went to a private school and now she got a postgraduate work permit. Yes, that might happen, but that is an error on the side of the immigration consul or officer. And errors won't happen every day, right? So that your friend was lucky at that time, wherein it was mistakenly she was given a postgraduate work permit, even though she graduated from a private school. Then, after working for a year, then now you have your 1 year of paid Canadian experience. So now you'll be able to apply for your permanent residency via the Express Entry Program Canadian Experience class. Now, I hope it makes sense now that even at first it sounded like this is not the pathway, but essentially it is the pathway for you, and it is the fastest and easiest way to come to Canada at the moment, right? So, study permit, take a course, at least 1 year course. After completing that course, you will then have a postgraduate work permit, at least for a year. Then after working a year, then you can apply for your permanent residency. Okay, so it sounds good, but what are the requirements now in order for me to get approved for a study permit? So for the federal requirement, so this is the immigration, right? So what is the immigration officer looking for? So the person must be legal age of 18 and older. So we have clients here who have finished high school, and rather than spending their investment in the college in their home country, they would rather spend it here in Canada because that's their goal anyway, is to come to Canada. So why spend their money back home in a college if they can go ahead and just come here to Canada, study here, and immigrate here as well? So we have like clients straight from high school, apply for a college course, and stayed here, work permit, later on, then permanent residency. Successfully passed the verification of all criminal records. So this means that admissibility to Canada, right? So no criminal offense, no misrepresentation on file, in good health, sound mind, and provides all documentation in a accurately and of course truthfully. More on the federal requirements would be proof of financial support. So immigration would have to make sure that you are able to pay for your tuition fee. And if you are going to a 4 year degree course, you don't need to show all of the total tuition fee. You only need to show the first year. Okay. So how much would the tuition fee for the first year? That is what you need to be able to show that you have means for. And as well as how are you able to support yourself? Do you have money to support yourself while you're studying in Canada? So that would be the show money, it's the common term, show money or living expense. We call it the living expense. So for this one, it would be good to have 15,000 CAD as your living expense. Now, the tuition fee and your living expense money it doesn't need to be under your name. If someone else is sponsoring you, let's say your parents or your friends or someone here in Canada sponsoring you, then it's okay for that money to be under their name, and it would be their financial situation and that will be used and submitted with your application. Okay. So bank statements, usually the bank statements certificate as well, and bank statements for the past 4 months. Then a letter from the person that is supporting you, and again, it could be your relatives, friends, or it could be a bank loan. Okay. The other requirement is the acceptance letter. Of course, the immigration would have to make sure that the school has accepted you, right? So with this one, the acceptance letter would be coming from the school, but they would normally require first that you have paid a down payment. Usually it's between 10 to 50% down payment of the school tuition fee. And the down payment, this one is, and then the balance would be paid while in school. And this, and the terms and agreement for this one is really from the school's policy and not our policy, right? So we can I cannot change that policy. That is a school policy, so we have to go and abide that policy. And different school have different policy on how much their down payment is and how to settle the rest of the tuition fee as well. And when it comes to the down payment and any tuition fee payment, that will go directly to the school. Our office doesn't get involved directly with the money. We don't touch the money. It doesn't go through us and then to the school. We have nothing to do with the money. You pay the down payment and tuition fee directly to the school. So you'll be comfort. I mean, like it would be you know that the money is really going to the school, and you'll feel safe on that one. And we do a learning plan on like, okay, learning plan is really the gist of it is that rather than studying in your home country, why are you studying in Canada? Now, school requirements, and this would be your typical school admission. So when you go to college, what are the school looking for you to get admitted? So you have your course assessment form, transcript of record, diploma. This and it would be the post-secondary and your college, copy of your passport, IELTS score. And when it comes to IELTS score, this one varies from school to school as well as course to course, right? So some school they would require 6.0, some school require 7.0. It depends on the school and depends on the course as well. Now, I know there's some ads out there saying, come to Canada, study in Canada without no IELTS needed. Just try to think of like how would the school be able to, or how would the school be confident that you as a student you'll be able to pass their course if they don't know if what your language ability is when it comes to English, right? Because you're not just paying for the degree, you're really paying for the education, right? So you will be going to school and really learning and taking the exam, and there'll be grades for that one. And if you if your language ability is not at par, then it's going to be difficult for you to pass the course. So how does that one work then? Like, why are they able to say no IELTS score, no IELTS needed? There's other ways to see if you know the language English, right? But they would still require you to take a course though, and that course would be an English course that is together with your main course. So that means you will be paying more tuition fee because that would be additional course for you. So it would be better if you just take your IELTS, and we'll show you as well. We'll You'll know how we are able to help you get the score that you need as well. All right, so now let's talk about student benefits. So this would be interest-free payments for your tuition fee. The school will also assist you with any housing if you need housing help. And the school also, some schools, they have their own immigration consultant, so in-house immigration consultant. So if you have any questions when it comes to your immigration status or paperwork or documentation, you have a direct access to a consultant. But even though they have a in-house consultant, we will still be here for you as well. And there are grants and loans available for international students. The only thing about this one is you need to be here first before you can apply for those grants and loans. You cannot apply while you are still in your home country. You need to be here first before you can apply for those grants and loans. As a student, you're allowed to work 20 hours per week during school season, and off season you're allowed to work 40 hours per week. So now it doesn't mean that you'll be getting a lower salary because you're a working student. No. So as a working student, your wage would be at least the province minimum wage. Whatever the province's minimum wage is, that would be your salary. Okay, at least. And another good thing about this one, as a study permit, you are able to bring your spouse and your children. The only thing about this one is you need to make sure you need to be able to show that you are able to support not just you, but your spouse and children as well while they are in Canada and while you are studying. So, what's next after school? So, right after school, once you graduate, work under the Postgraduate Work Permit Program or PGWP. So, if you are if you graduate from a 1-year course, your PGWP or your work permit would be 1 year. If your course is 2 years or more, your work permit would be 3 years. Okay, so that's why you need to have a course that is at least 1 year in length, in duration, because any course that is less than 1 year, that one won't qualify for a work permit, and you need that work permit in order to go to the next step and get your 1 year paid Canadian experience for your express entry, right? So then apply for your permanent residency. After 1 year of working, apply for your permanent residency, then citizenship. And if you want to sponsor your parents to come here, then you can also sponsor your parents. And you can do this one as soon as you're a permanent resident. You can do it. You can start the process at that time. So, minimum wage. What is a minimum wage? So the lowest minimum wage right now in Newfoundland is 11.65, and the highest would be $15, and that is in Alberta. And this is a snapshot of the minimum wage across Canada. So in British Columbia, you have 14.60, in Alberta 15, Saskatchewan 11.32, and Manitoba 11.65, and so on. Okay. So let's give it a wage sample. Okay. Let's say you are getting a minimum wage here in BC. So 1460 is our minimum wage here in British Columbia. You're working 40 hours a week. That would give you $584 per week. In a month, that would give you 2,336. And in a year, that would give you 28,000. And that's working in BC minimum wage. How much would that be in Philippine peso? That would be close to 1 million pesos for working in a minimum wage occupation. So almost, so to be exact, 981,120 pesos. Okay. And that's only for a year. And this is only for you. If you have your spouse with you, then your spouse can also earn the same amount of money, even more, if he wants to. Okay. But of course, that is your income, potential income, and it could be higher than that one. But there is, of course, expense attached to this one. All right. So, and I see this one as investment. Okay. And when it comes to in any investment, there's a return of investment, right? So ROI. Any business, if you go into a business, there's an investment and there's a return of investment. When are you going to get your investment back? The good thing about this one is the investment that you'll be putting in, you have control over the how and when the return of investment will be, right? Because it's you who would be controlling how many hours will you be working and all of those things. Compared to, unlike if you would go to a business right now and you think of, okay, there is some products out there that I could sell, but I need to choose between package 1, 2, or 3. Okay, I'll choose package 3. This is the amount of money I have to pay. And now I have to find customers that would want and need the product that I have. And your hope is that every month, every week, you'll have the same customers routinely buying your product. And with that one, you don't have control over that one because you're relying on other people liking, needing, wanting your product, right? And no offense to those people, but I'm just comparing it, right? So that business is legit. It's clean money for sure. It's a decent, no question about that one. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to compare it. Okay. So investment in education. So how much money do I really need for this one? So for a student, so your living expense or your show money, if you're the only one coming to Canada to study, that would be 15,000 CAD. If you're bringing your spouse with you, then you need to add 5,000 on that one. If you have a child coming with you, you need to add 3,000. If you have another child coming, add another 3,000. That would be how the immigration officer would look at, are you able to support your, not just yourself, but your spouse and your children as well while you are studying in Canada. Okay. When it comes to the tuition fee, the average is between 10 to 20,000 CAD. Depends on what course, which province, and but that would be the average range. And your dependents, so your spouse, he'll be able to work unlimited hours. So while you are in school, your spouse can work unlimited hours, and it would be in any occupation, any employer, as long as he is qualified for that job. So next, our administration fee for this one would be 1,400 CAD or 48,000 pesos. And with this administration fee and this webinar, there's a limited perks, which are we are providing free unlimited IELTS review. With this free unlimited IELTS review, I am confident that you'll be able to get the score that you need for the course that you're trying to get into. Okay. And we will also take care of your IELTS exam fee. Now, when it comes to the immigration consultant's fee, usually there is a fee of 1,500 for that one. But because of this webinar, for joining this webinar and proceeding, the 1,500 CAD is waived for you. So what is the process, really? Okay, so I've heard a lot. What is my next step? So the first one is your eligibility check. So we'll have to determine first if there will be a course or courses or school that would be good for you, that would be related to your work experience or for your education, right? And by and we'll do this one by reviewing your comprehensive resume. And at this stage, you won't need to pay anything. Okay. We are doing this one to make sure that you will be able to, before we take you, we need to make sure first that you're able to proceed to the next step, because we don't want to waste your money and we don't want to waste your time, of course. So we need to make sure first that you'll be able to proceed. Okay. So once we are able to determine that you're able to proceed, and we'll be able to get you choices for course and school, that would be the time you go to the next step, which is the registration process, or start of the application. That would be, and this would be the only time, this would be the time wherein you will be paying the 1,400 or 48,000. Then you submit all the required documents, and then we will also coordinate your IELTS review. Then we'll give you your choices of courses that you can take. And it could be in one province or it could be in multiple province. And so we'll show you those courses in school. And then it's time for you to now choose which school, which course would be best suited for you. Okay. And there will be a lot of factors on this one on your end. We're in, it's up to, I mean, like you might want a shorter course, only a year, and probably money is also, tuition fee is also one that you are trying to prioritize, or you want to live in British Columbia, so you want to look at courses school only in BC. Next, once you have chosen your school, your course, then we submit your application, school admission to the school. And this would be together with the application fee for the school. Okay. So the advantage of joining us, though, for hiring us as your consultant, when we submit your credentials, you don't need to have your credentials in red ribbon and all of those things, or notarized. You just need to submit a clear copy to us, and then we'll take care of that one, right? And then we submit that one to the school for you, okay? And then pay the tuition fees. That would be the down payment. Once you are accepted, they'll say you are temporarily accepted, and it would be dependent on you paying their down payment. Once you have settled the down payment, then you will receive your letter of acceptance. Then normally, this is a typographical error. It's not second payment. First payment of 1,000 is due, but at this stage, this is waived. Okay. Then we prepare. Then we prepare your documents for the study permit. Once you have your official letter of acceptance, we take a look now your actual study permit application to the embassy, and then normally before we submit the application, the last payment of 500 is due, but for you this one would be waived. We then apply for your study permit and then come to Canada. I know there's a lot of steps, but we will be here to guide you along the way and to make it smooth as much as possible and stress free. Okay, so fast and easy pathway to Canada, because study permit only for a year or at least a year, then postgraduate work permit for a year, so that's 2 years. Then you apply for your permanent residency. That might take a year, and that's just being conservative, but it's less than a year. But in 3 years' time, you have your permanent resident status. Then later on, if you pursue, you'll be a citizen of Canada. So yeah, so I said fast and easy because it's a straightforward program, study, and then work, and then immigrate. So study for a year, work for a year, and then after a year of application for permanent residency, your status will now be a permanent resident. So 3 years, you'll be a permanent resident. So what are the next steps? So this is only if you think this is the right program for you, study, work, and immigrate, and you would like to avail our limited perks, which are your free unlimited IELTS review, and then your IELTS exam is taken care of, and your consultant's fee waived. If you would like to avail those, sounds interesting to you, please submit your resume to assessment@romancanadianimmigration.ca. And on the subject line, please type in study, work, and immigrate to Canada. And this is very important because we do receive tons of emails in this inbox, and we would like to triage it. And also we want to make sure that you are included in our clients that would be availing the limited perks. Then once we have determined that you are eligible, you meet the minimum requirement, then we go to the next step, which is the registration. And again, when you submit your resume, there's no you don't need to pay any money at this stage, right? This is a free assessment on that one. And then once we find out that you are eligible, then that's the only time you'll pay the 48,000. Then we start the ball rolling. Okay, that would be coordinating your unlimited IELTS review, finding you a courses, school options, and yes, it will be a fun times. Okay, that's about it. I know you guys have heard a lot of things. I'm hoping that you've learned a lot, and if this is something that is for you, please do not hesitate to send your resume, or if this is something that your friends would benefit from, please do not hesitate to share the information that you have received to them. Feeling kind of lonely, I could use a little something. Don't give me up, I see the light. I see the Hello, Charmy. You go ahead and ask your questions in our chat box. Yes, I just need you by my side. Yeah, my heart gets cold. I need you when the lights go low. And for those people who have just finished watching this recording, thank you. And please share this recording to your friends, families, to your group if you think they would benefit from it.
If you take it, if you feel a little lonely, I could use a little something. We could make
I'm sorry, sir, but how about the incoming students? Sorry, but what was the question about the incoming students?
And every time I close my eyes, guess I just need you by my side. Yeah, my heart gets cold, I need you.
Sorry, Charmy, I am not able to grasp your question. If you can make it more clear or clearer, that would be great.
After all the time that's passed, is it wrong to say I want you back? Yeah, my heart gets cold, I need you when the lights go low.
I mean, shall we pass the resume for incoming students, or it's the other thing?
Wait a minute, feeling kinda
Yes. So if you think that this is a program for you, you would like to come here and study, work, and then immigrate. Yes, please go ahead and submit your resume, and we'll go ahead and take a look at your resume to make sure that you're eligible for this program. And then once we have determined that one, then we can proceed to the next step, and then start presenting to you your options when it comes to the courses in schools. I'm hoping I did answer your question, Charmy. But if not, you can always send us a message, Charmy, in our Facebook page.
If you take it, if you feel a little lonely, I could use a little something.